those larger companies, once again, they have a team that oversees those certifications and those permits and those licenses.
And they know what is needed. They know what to put in place.
Hey guys, welcome back to NEMT Van Talks. I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Monica.
And we're the owners of an NEMT business based here in California. Now today we're going to be talking about why larger NEMT companies hit big on major contracts while smaller operators miss out.
Yeah. So as small NEMT operators, we work hard, but we still struggle to secure those big bags, like those life-changing contracts, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, essentially larger companies and even transportation brokers are racking up these contracts like big time, while smaller operators are still trying to figure things out. So, you got to consider larger companies have the strategies to handle some of those massive contracts, but they also have resources and connections that smaller operators do not.
Yeah, but guess what? Stick around. We're going to show you how do we turn those things around. Like, let's turn the tables in that.
Let's definitely discuss that, but let's also look at how these larger companies are operating, or let's explore the things that they have in place that give them the advantage over smaller operators.
All right, let's talk about it.
Okay. Well, Monica, the first thing that I think about is how larger companies have resources. I know for us, when we first started out many years ago, we didn't have the resources. We didn't have the information. We did not know much about technology. So we had to eventually go out and seek the things that would help us grow and scale our business. And so that's one of the reasons why we created NEMT Van Talks, is for all of our NEMT providers and operators to come together as a community and share resources
and
network because it's so important. So for sure, those larger companies have access to so many resources. And you can't be mad at them.
You cannot be mad. You cannot be mad. And another thing, they have established like connections and reputation within the community, right? Like they have connections with these larger health plans. It's easier for them to go out there and bid for these contracts because they also have the resources in place to fulfill those contracts, right? And so it makes it harder for those small NEMT providers to be able to build on those opportunities if they don't have the infrastructure in place, to go out and bid for those opportunities.
Yeah, and we always talk about networking and how you should get out there and, connect with other industry professionals, healthcare professionals, so that you can create opportunities for yourself. And it may not be opportunities immediately, but it could be long-term opportunities or opportunities, that could come about in the future, right? But then let's go back to some of those resources that those larger companies have, right? You got to think about these companies have access to vehicles, right? So when a NEMT company sees maybe like a government contract or even a partnership with a transportation broker, like so many times we hear our clients say, well, the broker wants 3 vehicles, 4 vehicles, 5 vehicles. Well, who are those opportunities going to? They're going to those NEMT companies that can handle that capacity, the trip volume, right? But then you also want to think about staff, right? Sometimes we gotta just start, right?
We have to just start.
And so that could mean that we're pulled away from marketing. We're not answering our phone like we should be when clients are calling us, or we're missing out on opportunities. All of those things, definitely should be considered.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
You're right. It pull us away from being able to really bid on those opportunities. And because those larger companies have different things in place to position them to bid on those opportunities, they're able to do so, right?
Yeah.
And so that makes things really challenging for those smaller companies, and make it tough for us to say, like, I want to bid on that opportunity, but because I don't have the vehicle requirements that they're asking for, can I still bid? Right?
Right.
So yeah, but
then you even think about like advanced technology, right?
Yes.
So when we first started out, we didn't have any scheduling software, payroll software, or anything like that, right? And honestly, the company couldn't afford it.
Yep. Right.
Let's be honest. But we eventually did what we had to do. We tell you guys all the time, we were up late, routing our trips, doing what we needed to do to bring in the money. And then once the company started to bring in, we started to see money, we started to grow, we were able to bring in some of those systems that could help us operate our business effectively. But I mean, we had to do some research. I think now you have more tech, new innovation coming into the NEMT space, which is really nice because now providers have options. Before, we didn't have options.
But you're right. Before, we weren't in a position where we can go out and bid on those opportunities, but because we have now grown and scaled our business to a position where, like, okay, we can bid on those opportunities just like the big dogs are doing, like, right?
But then when it comes to bidding on those opportunities, right, some of those larger companies have that negotiation power,
girl,
right? Because when you think of some of those major opportunities, you think of like VA, you think of like health plans, you think of like government agencies, counties, state level. They're operating a business too, so they want discounts.
Yes. They have the power to negotiate.
So a smaller operator may not be able to offer discounts like the larger companies could, right?
Yep.
Based on some of the things that we've seen and even experienced, agencies will ask you, can you, do you have some type of voucher program?
Yes, they always ask that.
Right. And so they're looking for discounts. And because smaller operators don't have the vehicle capacity, they don't have the technology, they don't have the staffing to scale like they should, right? Or as quickly as the contract may like them to, right? We have to pass up on those opportunities because we can't afford
to grow and scale our business that quickly.
Yeah. Especially with lack of funding.
Those are really good points. But even with all of that being said, that is why those larger companies are able to go out and to secure those contracts, because they have those things in place. That doesn't necessarily mean that as a small business owner, you cannot pursue those contracts and you don't have an opportunity to go after those contracts. But it's just easier for those larger companies to bid on those opportunities.
But I'm also thinking about the advantages, right? When you think of like fleet, right? You already know you could call your NEMT insurance agent right now and they'll tell you, you got a fleet of vehicles, yeah, you can get a discount. But if you got 1, 2, or 3 vehicles, you're not gonna get no discount. Or if you go to any mobility dealership, you walk in there and say, hey, I want to buy 10 vans, you're gonna get a discount. You walk in there saying you want 1 or 2 vans, they ain't give you no discount. Right. So you think about how they are saving money on insurance, they're saving money on vehicles. It's just crazy. But then you also got to think about their marketing too. Their marketing efforts. They have designated people in place to create that brand awareness so that they can get some of those larger contracts, right? So, smaller companies are still trying to put a marketing strategy in place.
That's true. They still trying to make it happen. They still trying to figure it out, like, how do we make this happen?
But then you want to think about certifications too. Those larger companies, once again, they have a team that oversees those certifications and those permits and those licenses.
They have a team of people in place who doing all of the work for them, all of the lead work that you are typically doing on a day-to-day operation. Because again, they have all of the infrastructure in place to make those things happen. So it's just, it makes everything easier for them, you know, as a larger company to pursue those opportunities.
Yeah. You can see how those opportunities can come to them, right? Because even with just advanced technology, like when you think of working with government agencies and you think about even working with transportation partners, brokers, they have somebody that they have to report to, that they have to answer to. So if a broker needs you to run a report to gather data, they're expecting you to have systems in place to help you do that. The same with government contracts, government agencies, healthcare facilities, healthcare hospitals. They want to be able, or they want to be confident
that you have those systems in place. So you're right. So like if you would take a moment to review a government contract, review a RFP, request for proposal, just review one and review the criteria. What are they asking for? And like you just mentioned, one of those things is like, can you run reports? How you have to submit reports often, like quarterly, like they want to see the numbers. Do you have those systems in place? Like you mentioned before, like the number of vehicles. How many vehicles do you have? Can you meet the demand of this contract, right? What about your insurance limit, the requirements for your insurance? Can you meet that demand as well? And so, like you just mentioned, those larger companies, they can. And so immediately you think...
And it's attractive.
Right. And so that's why they're able to go out. So immediately you think as a small business, like...
I can't compete. But you actually can. And I need you to change your mentality.
Yes.
We need you to start everything that we just said. I hope that you've taken notes.
Yes.
Because you can compete as a small business.
Yes.
And we're going to actually discuss that in our next video that's going to drop next week. Because we don't want to stay small forever.
No.
We want to grow. We want to grow as a business, as an industry. And it's important for us to share information with you so that
you can.
Because when you do good, our industry does good and we all thrive. And that's the type of mentality that we need to have. So stop saying that you can't compete, because you can compete.
Yes, we thinking big over here.
Big.
Big.
Okay.
And we're going to show you how to think big with us, okay?
Absolutely.
There's no such thing as a small business.
That's right. And so we need you to go ahead and hit the notification bell, because you definitely do not want to miss next week's video. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Also, like this video, share this video with other entrepreneurs that are looking to get started in the NEMT industry, and let's get this thing rocking.
Right. We'll see you guys next week.
You ready, Em?
Hey, I'm ready, Jay.
Hey.